Hey, welcome back to another episode of Simple Truth Television. Today is July 20th, 2022. So I want to go back and look at the death of the legendary martial arts and actor Bruce Lee's death. He passed away on this day in history on July 20th, 1973. And his death was deemed very suspicious back then in 1973, and it should have been suspicious because this guy was 32 years old, very healthy looking, very strong. He appeared very athletic in his films, and for him just to die from suspicious health reasons doesn't really make any sense. So just want to wait a few seconds so more people can join us. And make sure that the audio and everything is perfect, and then we could go dig into this suspicious death. Also, want to discuss the death of his son, who died in 1993, I think it was, Brandon Lee, and show the parallels between both of their deaths. It's so obvious that people are not even getting notified when I go live. This is why I have an Instagram page now where I let people know in the story section when I'm doing a live stream, because as you guys can see, it says here that 0 people are watching my live stream, which is like, what are the odds of that? So if anybody can just confirm that the audio and everything is perfect, we can get started. So Dimitri said he got a notification. Oh well, it's just strange because there's over 7,000 people here. All right, so I think, can you guys hear me? So Joshua says he didn't get a notification either. Yeah, a lot of people don't get notifications. That's why. So the audio is good. Thanks a lot. All right, so excuse me. So Bruce Lee, he died at the age of 32, and according to Wikipedia, it says here that his official cause of death was swelling of the brain caused by an allergic reaction to a headache medication. Although some consider the circumstances of his death mysterious. See? It says here that he died in Hong Kong on July 20th, 1973, 6 days before the release of his film, Enter the Dragon. How convenient, because in Gematria, I want you guys to notice the Gematria of Enter the Dragon. Notice it's 154 and 73, like ritual sacrifice. He died 6 days before the release of this film. This was his last movie. And of course, he died in the year 73. Sacrifice by itself is also 73. But Bruce Lee, he was born November 27th, the 331st day of the year, which is convenient because his son ended up dying on March 31st on 331, which is the 67 prime number, and blood sacrifice and human sacrifice are both 67. And the name of his son, Brandon Bruce Lee, is also 67 and 86, like blood sacrifice. But Bruce Lee, he was born November 27th and ended up dying 130 days before his birthday. And notice in Gematria, human sacrifice is 130. Notice human sacrifice is also 67 and 86. His son, Brandon Bruce Lee, has Gematria of 67 and 86. And keep in mind that, again, he was born the 331st day of the year, which is the 67th prime number. He ended up dying 130 days before his birthday on the 331st day of the year. You can also say he died on the 131st day of his age, right? Because if you include the end date, well, no, let me say that again. You can say he died 131 days, including the end date before his birthday. And that matters because that's the 32nd prime number. He ended up dying at the age of 32. In Gematria, his name, Bruce, is 32. Look. the name Bruce has, and Bruce is also 86. The name Bruce is 32. You could say he died a full span of 131 days before his birthday, which is the 32nd prime number. His son, Brandon Lee, ended up dying on the 32nd day of the year. They're saying that his son got shot in the set of the movie The Crow. They said that somebody was they were supposed to use a fake gun, and by accident they used the real gun and ended up killing Brandon Lee in the set of The Crow on the 32nd day of the year on March 31st. And we'll get into his son in a second. It's because in the movie Game of Death, which came out in 1979, I was looking back to see if Zach covered the death of Bruce Lee, and Zach made an observation that this film was most likely predictive programming for the death of Brandon Lee, his son. And we're gonna definitely look at Zach's notes, and show you guys what he noticed. And notice the release of this film, right? 8/6, like Blood Sacrifice. So again, he died 130 days before his birthday, or a span of 131 days before his birthday, the 32nd prime. Human sacrifice is 130, and 131 is the 32nd prime number, like how his name Bruce is 32. And syncs up with his son, because his son ended up dying at the age of on the 32nd day of the year. Now, according to this site here, it says here that when he collapsed, it happened on May 10th, 1973. Then he was taken to the hospital, to the Hong Kong Baptist Hospital. And it says here that the doctors diagnosed him with cerebral edema or brain swelling due to excess fluid. They reduced the swelling by administering mannitol, a drug known to decrease in cranial pressure, but this wasn't the last Lee would succumb to the treachery of cerebral edema. And it says here that on July 20th he died. Right now, look, notice from the date of his hospitalization to his death, he ended up dying 71 days later. He got hospitalized on May 10th. Ended up dying on the 201st day of the year, July 20th. And notice in Gematria, the name Bruce Lee, just using the alphabetic order, is 71. He died 71 days after going into the hospital. And notice his name is perfect with Catholic. He has a perfect Catholic name. And again, this guy died on the 201st day of the year, like how the Jesuit order is 201. Notice what else is 71. Enter the Dragon. That was his last film. He died right before that film came out. And remember, Enter the Dragon is also 154 and 73, like Ritual Sacrifice. Now, going back to this film, right? Game of Death. I haven't seen this film, but Zach did take some screenshots. This is Zach's blog here, freetofindtruth.blogspot. He covered a lot of people's deaths in the past, so if you're ever wondering about a celebrity that died a long time ago, just go on his website, and it's most likely he'll have a decode on it. So, but I found this blog post interesting because it says here that in the 25th minute of Game of Death, Bruce Lee is shot by a real gun in a movie scene. And then it says here that it's most likely Brandon Lee foreshadowing. So this is Bruce Lee in the film Game of Death. And it says here that Brandon Lee was reportedly killed on the set of The Crow when a stunt gun shot a real bullet, killing him. The exact same thing happens to Bruce Lee in the film Game of Death. But in Bruce Lee's case, it was a storyline. It was the story of the film he was starring in. That said, Bruce Lee also died during the time of the filming of his movie. And just think about that. His son and him both died while I think his son died while filming The Crow, and Bruce Lee died 6 days before his film was released. Which is like a weird, strange coincidence, though. But his son, and notice the Gematria of The Crow. His son died while filming The Crow. The Crow equals 38 like death, murder, killing, and R.I.P. And this is a scene here on the 25-second mark a 25-minute mark where Bruce Lee gets shot. Of course, death is 25. He points out that the film is 85 minutes in length, an hour and 25 minutes. 60 plus 25 is 85. Notice the gematria of the film. Game of Death is 85. And in the film, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar makes an appearance, which is fitting because basketball is 85 as well. And yeah, he pointed out the 8/6 release date. And it came out in the year 79. Society of Jesus is 79. Murder is 79. And it looks like the movie came out on the 93 date numerology. And then Brandon Lee was buried on the 93rd day of the year in the year 93. See how perfect all this stuff is? But isn't this sick how, they put out this film and then his son ends up dying in the same fashion. But, if you watch this film, Game of Death, Bruce Lee actually fakes his death in his film, which makes me think that maybe his son faked his death. That's what they do. A lot of you think that these people are really dying, but I honestly think these people fake their deaths. And, But look, it says here that he doesn't really die. They decide to fake his death and put on a fake funeral, even with an open casket to dupe the audience. Is this the ultimate predictive programming or what? So in the film, Bruce Lee fakes his death, and they have an open casket, but yet, fake body. Something like, I think, and again, this is what I honestly believe that this is what they do in real life. And I think that this is why they put it in the movies, because a lot of people dismiss the movies and think that the things that happen in the films are just theater and not real, and they don't think that it can happen in real life. But this is what the Jesuit order does. They mock the fan, they mock the people with the films and in the media and the sports games and all that stuff, because a lot of people think that that's fake, and that the news is real, which is really the other way around. Like, the news is fake, and the movies is more realistic than the news. Later, it is discovered by the man trying to kill Billy O. Billy Lowe is, I guess, his character name in the film. It is discovered that Billy Lowe faked his death. I guess they found out that this wasn't really a body. It was just a dummy. I swear, I think this is what they do in real life. I swear to God. I swear to God, this is exactly what they do. But I think I spoke about this, right? The movie came out on 8/6. Blood Sacrifice is 86. But just take a look at the gematria of his son's name, right? Brandon Bruce Lee. You saw how it equals 139? Freemasonry equals 139. 139 is also the 34th prime number. And murder is 34. And I think the name of that film, The Crow, is also 34, like murder. It is. It's 34 and 38 like death. It's actually 38, 97, and 34 like death. But murder has that 34 and 38 gematria. And his name is 139 with the 34 prime number. Freemasonry is also 139. And the reason that fits perfectly with the ritual is because Brandon Lee, who is the son of Bruce Lee, he was born on February 1st, ended up dying on March 31st, the day that connects to his father's birthday, because his father was born on the 331st day of the year. Again, that's the 67th prime number, the day that he died. And notice in gematria, Brandon Bruce Lee is 67 and 86, like Blood Sacrifice and Human Sacrifice. But his son died 58 days after his birthday. And that connects to Freemasonry, right? Because Freemasonry, Secret Society, Rosicrucian are all 58. And that film that he was shooting, The Crow, notice they released it on May 11th, 1994, which was exactly 58 weeks after his death. The movie came out on May 11th, 1994. He died on March 31st, 1993, Notice from March 31st, 1993, the day that he died, to the release of the film on May 11th, 1994, it was 58 weeks later. And keep in mind that May 11th, that's the 131st day of the year. And that should remind you of Bruce Lee, his father, who died a full span of 131 days before his birthday, the 32nd prime. And again, Bruce is 32. But you see how they did it? They killed him 58 days after his birthday in the set of The Crow, and then released The Crow 58 weeks after his death. Isn't that sick? These people are really sick, man. These are some sick motherfuckers. And it's just so perfectly lined up. Oh my gosh. Because the way they did it is just they lined him up perfectly with his father, and then had his father do the movie. Oh my gosh. These are some sick devils, man. But again, there's a possibility that both of them faked their deaths, because that's what they did in that film. And you know what's funny about this picture here? Think about, like, let's say, for example, this picture came out in the media today, right? And let's say this guy right here, they say that this is police officer Bruce Lee. And let's say, he's a video footage went viral of him killing this black man while on duty. This black man is unarmed. And this is the photograph that the media is showing everybody of this police officer killing this black man. And you see how this black man has his eyes closed with his tongue out? Everybody in the entire nation will believe that this officer killed this black man. And yet, when you see these people in the movies, this is what they do in the movies. This is acting. So I don't understand why people think that, they can't do the same thing in real life. Like, why is it that they people look at it like there's no way that's possible for this white guy to be acting and for this black guy to be acting in the news. Like, that is impossible. Like, the movies are telling you what they do in real life. Like, I'd rather you guys believe the movies and not believe the news. The news lies 100% of the time. The movies tell you a lot of the truth that the news is not going to tell you. Like how this guy, faked gets shot and then fakes his death in the film. But I was looking at this picture and I'm like, isn't this what they always show when a cop kills a black man unarmed? I'm just thinking about Eric Garner. That's what this reminded me of. It reminded me of Eric Garner, the white guy choking a black man. This is the same thing that happened with Eric Garner. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And got his tongue out. Eric Garner and this actor are no different. But back to this guy. Yeah, it's really sick what they did with both of these men. And almost forgot. Notice the 266 with Brandon and Bruce Lee. I mean, we know what that number represents, right? Isis Hamanan Salvatore, the Jesuit model, IHS. And again, his dad died on the 201st day of the year, and the Jesuit order is 201. Bruce Lee also died 68 days before Pope Paul VI's birthday. And, 68 is a very important number. Catholicism is 68. Mathematics is 68. Died right before Enter the Dragon came out. Ritual Sacrifice. 71 days after his hospital visit. I have a lot of notes up here. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh, and his son Brandon Lee also died in North Carolina, which has that Gematria of 67. And again, he died on 3/31. Oh, and Brandon Lee, speaking of the Jesuits, he died on the day of 56 numerology, March 31st, 1993. And I think I mentioned this. When you write of the Crow, it has similar gematria to death. The guy gets shot on the set of the Crow. Ends up dying 58 days after his birthday, and then the film comes out 58 weeks later. in a big Masonic ritual. Let's see. Oh yeah, some other things. So the person that kills Bruce Lee in the film Game of Death, he he leaves through the back door, and the back door has his Gematria of 33, like the character that Bruce Lee played. Billy Lowe. Billy Lowe is also 33, which is all Masonic, right? Back door is also 147, like conspiracy and Freemason. His son ended up dying in a very Masonic ritual. So yeah, today marks the 49th year anniversary since his death. So R.I.P. to Bruce Lee and of course his son as well. Yeah, I think I covered it all. And yeah, one last thing. His son Brandon Lee was born on 2/1. Jesuit is 21. And very possible these people are still around. I don't know about Bruce Lee, but Bruce Lee will be a lot older than, or maybe these people are already dying at the age, and maybe they really are getting sacrificed. But what I do know for a fact is that this guy did not die from no, what is it they said, from swelling of the brain caused by allergic reaction to a headache medication. A guy that got used to take all types of punches in the films. It's nothing. I mean, this guy was in very good shape at the age of 32. Trying to tell me some headache medication took him out? Wow. On the 201st day of the year? Very hard to believe. I had 32 people watching. This is YouTube is so funny. YouTube has a real sense of humor. 33. Oh man. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. R.I.P. to Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee.